Hello, this is Father Michael Nasser coming to you from St. Nicholas Orthodox Church here in Grand Rapids, Michigan for this week's midweek reflection. And this week I am reflecting on a big issue and then a small application of that issue. The big issue is how do we really advance? How do we solve problems? How do we work together for things to get better? And I say to people all the time, I didn't make this up, somebody told me and I just copied it. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And if we could learn to use those in that proportion, if we could listen twice as much as we speak, we would really advance whatever it is we happen to be working on. Because when we speak twice as much as we listen, and if everybody else is doing that, nobody's really communicating. We think we are. Because, well, I said this, and I said this, but I said this, but I said this. And nobody's really listening, or at least hearing all of it, because we're talking twice as much as we listen. So that's the way forward. And no matter what the issue is, that's going to be the way forward to understand each other and to work together to solve whatever it is we happen to be working on. Now, the particular issue I'm reflecting on is an issue that a lot of people have been thinking about and talking about in the last couple of years, and that's issues of race and racial discrimination and racial equality and race relations. I'm reflecting on this today because yesterday I had the blessing of traveling with 5 of my neighbor pastors who become really good friends and brothers throughout the last couple of years as we've been talking together on this issue and other issues. And as we've really done a lot of listening to each other, we're really trying hard to use that proportion of twice as much listening as speaking. We traveled together. We went up to the Jim Crow Museum at Ferris State University up in Big Rapids, about an hour north of here. And it's really, in many ways, an eye-opening experience, a very sobering experience, because the museum takes artifacts of Jim Crow America as a way of highlighting just how destructive racial discrimination can be and how hurtful it can be. So I'd encourage anyone in the area, or even to come in and travel to the area just to see that museum. It's quite a sobering experience to go through. But I think looking at issues of race without the perspective of I'm going to listen twice as much as I'm going to speak, again, doesn't get us anywhere. And why am I talking about this? Not just because it's an important social issue. We as Christians have a very valuable, I would say the valuable perspective on this topic and on every topic. Because we are followers of the Christ. We are Christians. We're little Christs. In other words, our calling, our being, is to be like him. And who he was above everything else was he was a lover. He's the lover of mankind. Who he is in his divinity, his humanity, how he saved us, all, of course, crucial. But in terms of how he calls us to act like him, to be like him, to follow him, is to do what he did. And what did he do? He laid down his life. He sacrificed for the other. He loved. And so that's what we're called to. We can't call ourselves Christians accurately if we don't follow the way of love. And the way of love always puts the needs of the other before our own. So if we're going to advance, not just as a society, but even as Christians, on the issues of race, we're going to have to use that Christ-like quality of sacrificial love, and specifically in listening to people who we haven't heard their perspectives before, and if we have, we haven't understood them. So this is just a call for all of us in whatever issues we're dealing with, whatever what struggles or whatever efforts we're involved in, but specifically on issues of race, that we have to listen a lot more, and we have to try to understand, as I said before, as Stephen Covey taught us in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, to first understand and then seek to be understood. We're going to have a chance to involve people that are around in this area in this conversation coming up next month as we host what we hope will be the first of an ongoing series of conversations where me and my brother pastors from the neighborhood are going to be engaged in a conversation. I describe our group as 2 black guys, 3 white guys, and I'm the brown guy. Other people see us differently. They might see themselves differently. That's how I see it. So it's been a really helpful conversation as we hear each other's stories. So we're going to be basically telling each other our stories and telling the audience that comes together and bringing a Christian perspective on how we can approach this issue from a Christian perspective, from the perspective of followers of Christ, who is the lover of mankind, who is the example of sacrificial love for the other. So I'd encourage everyone to take this perspective, look at yourself in the mirror, count the ears, count the mouth, use them proportionally, and with sacrificial Christian love, listen and learn from the people around you. I hope you found this helpful, and if so, please share it with your friends via social media, and God willing, we'll see you in next week's video.